we present My Word. A panel game devised by Tony Schrein and Edward J. Mason. And here to introduce the teams is John Julius Norwich.
Thank you. Our teams for this week are Dilys Powell, Antonia, Fraser, Frank Muir and Denis Norden. First, a round of caustic comments. Can you suggest what it was that prompted the following uncharitable remark? Frank, Mark Twain said of something, "It is a tortoiseshell cat having a fit in a platter of tomatoes." What was it?
Mark Twain was rather in the habit of issuing these somewhat Philistine comments. This was Turner's Slave Ship.
Turner's Slave Ship is exactly what it was.
It's
a painting by Turner entitled The Slave Ship. Antonia. The Elizabethan man of letters, John Florio, referred to something as the paradise of women, the purgatory of men, and the hell of horses. What was it?
Well, it obviously wasn't...
Sounds like Harrod's Sale. Let me give you a clue.
Well, that's very exciting. It doesn't give me a clue. It's obviously...
I think if you were a footballer...
The English royal family...
England.
England
is right. 2 marks. Dilys. Sir William Gilbert, half of Gilbert and Sullivan, said of something that it was funny without being vulgar.
Shakespeare?
Yes.
Somebody's Hamlet.
Yes, somebody's Hamlet. 1 mark for somebody's Hamlet. 2 marks if you tell me whose Hamlet.
Tree?
Tree is right. Sir Herbert Barebone Tree. One of the nastiest things that could ever be said, isn't it, really, about any Shakespearean performance. Sir Herbert Tree playing Hamlet. Funny without being vulgar. Dilys, an extra mark if you can tell me the middle name of Sir William Gilbert.
Schwenk.
Schwenk is right. An unusual Christian name, but Schwenk was his name. Schwenck. Well done. Extra mark. Just for kicks. Denis and Antonia. And also, to be fair, an extra mark if you can give me Sir Arthur Sullivan's middle name.
No, you had it. I'll give you Jerome K. Jerome.
Give me Jerome K. Jerome.
Klapka.
Thank you. No marks, but thank you. It was Seymour. Denis. The late Aneurin Bevan, the Labour politician, said of something that it was like paying a visit to Woolworths. Everything in its place and nothing above sixpence. What was it?
Was it metaphorical? I mean, in other words, he wasn't talking about a place, was he?
No, he was not talking about a place.
Is it of a person or a theory?
It is partly of a person. It is not at all of a theory.
I don't know. Well, he was always at crossing swords with Churchill, but I don't think he'd say that about... He was a very witty man, and he was very accurate, generally, so he wouldn't apply that to Churchill. No, I don't know.
It was a speech by Neville Chamberlain.
Oh.
Everything in its place and nothing above sixpence. Just like
very good, then.
Before we go into round 2, Frank and Denis, here are the quotations that you've been given for the last round. Frank, yours, lapsing briefly into French, is, I never miss a chance to sing if I can get one. Parlez-moi d'amour. Denis, yours is Anchors Aweigh. A round of origins now and derivations. What was the origin of the following word or phrase, or from what did it derive? Frank. To go to pot.
Means to become disillusioned and seek the solace of marijuana.
That is possibly what it means. What does it come from?
It comes from casting into the cooking pot the odd bits of gristle that are no use for anything else. to make a stew. It's what you did eventually with meat when it was fit for nothing else.
Alas, no. It's actually believed to have originated in the classic custom of placing the ashes of a cremated corpse in an urn.
Rubbish.
That's what they say here. It's
Withdraw.
not rubbish. It's the ashes of a cremated corpse. That is not rubbish, Frank. It's the thing that one keeps on the mantelpiece.
Never.
Frequently. Antonia, can you tell me the derivation of the word inoculation?
The derivation, well, it must come from nocio, doesn't that mean to harm? Yeah. So you make it harmless by inoculating it.
I would go along with that, and my committee.
Yes.
You're so clever. You're so clever. It's such a good idea that I shall give you a mark. In fact, it's wrong. You did it so well and with such aplomb. And it is such a good idea, because nocio does mean to harm, as in innocuous.
Mm.
Exactly.
But in this particular case, you're wrong. It's odder than that. It derives from the horticultural practice, you'll be interested to hear, of grafting a bud, the Latin for which is the word oculus, onto an inferior plant to produce flowers of better quality.
Right.
Dilys, the origin or the derivation of the word to ostracise.
Ostracise, it's a classical word.
It is?
It derives from a classical system of voting in which you put an ostra into a box and the ostra said no, out.
Well, you're so nearly right. I shall give you a mark and a half.
Thank you.
It actually derives from the Greek word ostracon, which actually was a clay or an earthen tablet on which, apparently, the Greeks recorded their votes as to whether somebody should be banished from society, i.e. ostracised, or not. But you were so nearly right, a mark and a half. Denis, an aftermath.
The origin. This is one of those words that has no origin, actually. Somebody picked up a book one day, and there it was. It has no origin. It just came.
It just growed. Suddenly,
Aftermath.
there it was.
There was an awful feeling that you get following an arithmetic examination. And the man, it wasn't a conscious thought. He simply wrote it down like that. One of the few words in the English language with no origin or derivation.
I give you a mark for being so wonderfully and inspiredly wrong. An aftermath is primarily, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, which ought to know, a second or later mowing of grass, or alternatively, the crop of grass that springs up after the mowing in early summer. That sudden moment when you gaze at the aftermath and you say, oh my God, I've got to do it all over again. That's the aftermath. Now, for a round of post-mortems, called upon to perform an autopsy upon the following fictional character, what would be your finding as to the cause of death? Frank.
Socrates?
Dr. No.
Oh, Dr. No, he of the metallic lobster claws. He was buried in bird dung.
Perfectly
Guano.
Right. Guano, he was suffocated by burial in a mound of guano. From Dr. No, the eponymous title, I think it is, by Ian Fleming. Antonia.
What does eponymous mean?
Another question to be answered later. Antonia, Mr. Krook, with a K, rag and bone man. How did he die?
We know.
We know.
We know.
Oh, sir, they're mocking me from the other side.
We know.
That's all in the game. You ought to have thought of that before you joined.
I'll allow them their petty moment of triumph.
You think that?
Yeah, I would maintain a
our
dignified
committee will allow
silence.
them.
You allow them a petty moment of triumph.
Yes.
All right, have your petty moment of triumph.
He died of spontaneous combustion.
Spontaneous combustion is exactly what Mr. Krook did die of. When and where?
He died in, was it Bleak House? It was Bleak House.
Bleak House is right.
Bleak House, and he burst into cinders.
That's right. Suddenly, as a result of handling old clothes in a fume of gin, he suddenly went pop in an explosion. Dilys, Madame Marguerite Gautier.
She died of tuberculosis.
She did.
Conspicuous consumption, you could call it.
In bed.
In bed, yes.
In La Dame aux Camélias.
In La Dame aux Camélias.
By one of all those Dumas.
Exactly.
There one or two.
One or two. In fact, in this particular case, it was Fils.
Fils.
as opposed to père, but let's not quibble. 2 well-deserved marks. Well done. Denis, here's a stinker. Cause of death of Mr. Bartholomew Sholto.
And I'm supposed to perform the autopsy.
Yep.
And I would first of all say, have we established the identity of this man? I'm not touching him until we find out who Bartholomew Sholto is. Is it his real name?
Believe it or not...
Are we just going by initials on a piece of handkerchief or something? BS?
No, Mr. Bartholomew Sholto, and if I'm not very much mistaken, which I may be, his brother was very much involved, who was also called Sholto, and therefore should have known and identified the body.
The body. Identified the body.
If I'm wrong about that, please don't write in and tell me.
Was it Bobby Sholto who'd come back from going to sea?
It's another BS, actually. Criminal. You say identified the body. There was all this business of body...
Oh, yes, he was murdered. There's a hint for you.
I will give you a long guess. Is it Holmes, Sherlock Holmes?
Holmes, it is.
But I don't know anything further than that.
Have a go.
I don't, no, because...
You had a go with Holmes and it worked. Have another go within the Holmes canon and see what you can do.
Was it a book or a short story? Was it a full-length novel or a short
I
story?
think I'm right in saying it was a short book. A long short story or a short book?
Novella.
Speckled Band.
No.
Sign of 4. Hound of the Baskervilles.
Which? You've said it. I'll give you all the marks you can get, i.e. 2, both marks you can get, if of those 3 you get the right one.
Sign of 4.
Sign of 4 is right. Yes. He's got it. But you have still... But you have still not told me what he died of.
No, I'm not pushing my luck. Yeah. He didn't die of spontaneous combustion.
No.
It was permanent.
Yeah.
You'll never guess.
No, I won't ever guess.
He died of a dart from a blowpipe.
Oh, that's right.
However, I said I would give you 2 marks if you got the right sign of the 4, so 2 marks I must give you. I know you didn't get the answer precisely, but that's life. You get the 2 marks anyway. Frank, we are now moving on to a quick round of part words. What word is it that contains the following consecutive letters? G-A-M for mother, U-F.
Can I shove other letters in between, like gallimaufry?
No, they're consecutive, those letters are, and uninterrupted. G-A-M-U-F.
Ooh. I just said that. Sir said it wasn't true. Ragamuffin.
Ragamuffin is right.
Yes.
Well done. 2 marks. Antonia, is your pencil poised? Poise it. T-C-H-P-H-R.
Scratch frenzy?
Yes, clearly. Okay.
1 mark for scratch frenzy.
Right, now I must get some more marks. Frenia.
Catchphrase.
Catchphrase is right. 2 marks. 2 marks. Catchphrase. Dilys. H-Y-T-H.
H-Y-T-H.
Town in Kent, try. With an E on the end.
Hythe won't do.
I can't withhold from you Hythe, I don't think, can I? Possibly.
No.
It's not actually the word we were thinking of, but Hythe is a word, and it does contain those letters.
Yes.
So I think I must give you 2 marks. If you can think of another one, I'll give you another mark.
Rhythm.
Rhythm is right. I'll give you 3 marks. Well done. And Denis. K-E-S-H.
Are you one of those nitpicking pedants who would always put a hyphen in cake shop?
I would always, invariably, put a hyphen in cake shop, except when I spelt it with 2 different words.
Wait a minute. Makesh... What's that? Spoke shave. There is
yes, spoke shave is wonderful. Well done. It's not what I had here actually was makeshift.
Antonia's got one. Makeshift.
Makeshift is the one I had, but spoke shave is every bit as good. Well done. I will give you 3 marks too for spoke shave and makeshift, thereby overfulfilling your norm. And now we come to the last round, and Frank and Denis's quotations. Frank, your quotation, you will remember, is Parlez-moi d'amour.
When I first got married, one of my ambitions was to introduce my wife as my wife. You know, and it took to the end of the honeymoon before it happened. We had a month's honeymoon in the south of France, in Cannes, when we were permitted to take with us £45 each for a month in Cannes. And the problem then was not to make the £45 last a month, but to get our hands on £45. The start of the honeymoon was quite... I was obsessed with the problem of the passport. And we were married by a marvellous priest, the late Father de Zulueta, and he said, no problem at all, actually. The passport, I have the passport. I keep the passport, your wife's passport, and in her married name. And he said, just one slight problem, that I might not be here on Saturday because I've got to go to Oxford. But don't worry, because Father Oswald will officiate if I'm not here. And the passports are in the second left... No, wait a minute. Second right-hand drawer. No, they're not. He said, I left them on the mantelpiece. No, I didn't. He said, they're on top of the desk. No, they're not. He said, they're in a folder in the left... Or he said, I do hope I get back, because Father Oswald is rather vague. But all went well, and we proceeded to France in my fast sports car, which was a clapped-out Fraser Nash BMW. With a bearing gone in the rear wheel, which made a grinding sound like a coffee grinder all over France. And we got down to the south of France, and we booked into this kind of hotel, which was kind of halfway between a boarding house, just at the back of Cannes, and there was one single bed, owing to a bureaucratic slip-up, which was 3'6" wide, which meant I was about to topple out of bed, so I extended my left hand, locked the elbow, and spent the night asleep, supported by a rigid arm. And at breakfast, it was a beautiful day, and there was a swimming pool in the hotel, and there was another Englishman there. Clearly, he looked a bit like me, with a moustache and hair and... well, a good profile. And he was standing, leaning against the door, looking at the swimming pool in the sunshine. And we used to wear woolen shorts in those days, woolen bathing costumes, which we don't any longer for very good reasons, because wool either, as you know, shrinks or it expands. And this chap's wool had expanded. And what should have been modest was... wholly immodest, and all the other guests were tittering over breakfast, and I thought I had to do something, so I got up and strolled up to this chap and sort of pretended to look at the swimming pool with him and said, adjust your bathing costume. And I returned to my table, and he just stood there, not making any kind of move. Then after about a minute, he suddenly gave us a little convulsion of his middle, and a sort of downward swoop of one hand, and he was once more modest. But he didn't look at me. A wonderful example of the British on holiday. Didn't look at me at all. But as we were signing out at the reception desk about an hour later, he came clutching his raincoat with a hat on and a bag, clearly booking out. And still not looking at me as he passed on his way to the taxi, he said, "Thank you." On the way back, we got to Paris, and my wife was shopping, and I was sitting in a cafe talking to this very interesting Frenchman who said he was a composer, and he'd written this marvellous waltz song which went da 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 dee da 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 dee, and he couldn't think of a title. I cannot think of the title for it. I cannot think of the lyric, the first line. And just then my wife came back and he said, "Oh, who's that pretty girl there?" And I said, "Would you like me to introduce you to her?" At last I could introduce her. He said, "You know her?" I said, "Yes, I do." With some pride, I said, "May I introduce Polly Madame Muir?" "My line," he said, "Polly Madame Muir."
Your turn, Denis, with Anchors Aweigh.
One of the most remarkable developments in the publishing world recently has been the boom in what's come to be called the human relationships industry. In other words, bestsellers about how to make other people like you or admire you or just trust you a little bit more. But you know what struck me about all those books? Although their effect must obviously have been that there are now more admirable, trustworthy and likeable people around than there ever were in the whole history of the world, when you look at the world, well, could you really say that all those admirable, trustworthy and likeable people have improved things in any way? So I got to thinking, maybe that really isn't how to improve the world. I mean, could it be that instead of flooding the shops with publications that tell us how to get on better with other people, perhaps the real way to improve things might be to teach people how to get on each other's nerves a bit more? And it was that blinding flash of illumination which led to this new monthly magazine I've been putting out, the one that's entitled, quite simply, Nasty. All it is really is a plain man's guide on how to give offence. Little tips on inexpensive ways to needle, antagonise, or in some way arouse rancour and animosity among those around you. Now, using the pen name I've adopted for that purpose, J.B. Beastly, what I do is I write chatty little pieces under such titles as Shortcuts to Making Yourself Profoundly Insufferable, or The Most Disagreeable Character I Have Ever Met, and What I Learnt from Him, or in our bumper November issue, A Golden Treasury of Misanthropic Perversity, including 12 ways to estrange friends and nauseate strangers. Now, what I can hear you asking, and with some eagerness, I fancy, what sort of behaviour does Nasty recommend? Well, it's nothing fancy, I promise you. It's an easy thing, faintly venomous, but easy tips, like always resting an elbow on both arms of a cinema seat. I can see people doing it here. It shows that our circulation... Another one that proved very popular is if you have guests coming to your home, fit the toilet roll holder in your loo with a roll of sandpaper. If you're in other people's houses, of course, you can be much more ambitious in your methods of alienating and being obnoxious. If it's someone with whom you're on terms of warm affection, why not borrow his wallet and lick all his postage stamps? And here's a hint that's guaranteed to fracture the deepest interpersonal bond. How about pouring a few drops of Tabasco sauce in his nose drops? Now, not all of those aids to aggro are my own, of course. We've been getting many invaluable suggestions from our readers. A chap in Doncaster wrote to say he achieved awfully good results in hotels by simply crossing out the do not in the do not disturb signs. A suggestion from a lady in Cornwall is that before you pay your regular 6-monthly visit to a dentist, especially if he's a personal friend, always eat a sandwich of strong gorgonzola and garlic. And there's a little boy in Edgware, and this shows the scope of our readership. Only 7, this one is, but already he's made himself a pariah. And he did it all through the simple expedient of simply hanging round outside his local registry office and shouting, "Daddy," to waiting bride. All in all, I can only tell you that Nasty magazine has had such an impact. We're now setting up a fund to establish a chair of aggravational research. But what I must remind you once again, is that the project got off the ground only because its contrary principle was seen to be so manifestly unsuccessful. In other words, because it has been so clearly demonstrated that other people being nice to each other isn't a way to set the world right, well, maybe, just maybe, rancor's a way.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I see from the score that Dilys and Frank are the winners. And so now it's goodbye from Dilys Powell, Antonia Fraser, Frank Muir, and Denis Norden.
In My Word, the chairman was John Julius Norwich. The questions were compiled by Peter Moore, and the programme was produced by Denis Norden.
You've been listening to My Word from the BBC.
We present My Word. A panel game devised by Denis Norden and Edward J. Mason. And here to introduce the teams is John Julius Norwich.
Thank you. Our teams for this week are Dilys Powell, Antonia Fraser, Frank Muir, and Denis Norden. Now, first of all, a visit to Mrs. Burns' dictionary of unusual, obscure, and preposterous words. Frank, can you hazard a guess as to the meaning of the word arachidic? You might prefer me to pronounce it arachidic. A-R-A-C-H-I-D-I-C. As you might say...
either way, actually, John.
Yeah, well...
Arachidic, ick, presumably, is appertaining to an Arab fermented juice of the cocoa palm rice mixed with marine varnish.
You're so nearly right, it's uncanny. Actually, it means caused by or pertaining to peanuts. Arachids, or a word very like that, at least, is the grown-up word for peanuts. No marks to Frank Muir. Antonia. Placophobia, as in a newspaper headline, to give you an example, placophobia causes resignation of gravedigger.
Well, phobia's easy because it means horror and hatred and fear and all those things. What would cause the resignation of a gravedigger? General dislike of cemetery tombstones?
Precisely the right answer.
Which
does
is?
Actually mean a fear of tombstones.
Good Lord. Well, we all got that.
And I cannot withhold from you 2 well-deserved marks. Dilys. Penelopes. I give you an example. In the phrase, for example, while waiting, she penelopized the buttons of her coat.
She sewed them. She was always putting things off. When she was waiting for Odysseus to come home, she refused all her suitors and did a lot of needlework in the day, and every night she undid it to undo what you've done.
You're absolutely right. It's to do up and then to undo again. It's to fidget, doing up and undoing and starting backwards and forwards. Beautiful, with some very nice and entirely correct classical allusions thrown in. Denis, continue our education with the word matutolipia.
Well, matuto would that be like matutinal, is to do with the morning?
Matutolipia does actually happen in the morning, yes. Can, in certain circumstances, happen at other times of day, but with most people, usually, it happens in the morning.
Does it?
It's not even song.
No. Matutolipia. It wouldn't be the thing we used to do when you were kids, and the first thing you did when you woke up in the morning is touch your upper lip to see if you'd grown a moustache yet.
Not altogether.
That's a kind of adolescent, sort of poetic metaphor for adolescence, no?
Alas, no. Well, actually, what it really means is getting out of bed on the wrong side in the morning and being constantly tetchy and touchy and irritable. Well, now, before we go into the next round, Frank and Denis, here are the two quotations that you were given for the last round. Frank, yours is that well-known piece of advice from the Oracle of Delphi, leave no stone unturned. And for you, Denis, that delightful ditty from the musical Irene, my sweet little Alice blue gown. Now, for a round entitled Something in Common. What I want to know is, what do the following words, names, or phrases have in common? Frank, Diogenes, bullseye, and gyp.
Diogenes is a Greek gentleman. Bullseye is a lantern. And gyp is something you're given. Gyp was Dora's dog, which much aggravated David Copperfield. Are they all dogs?
Yes.
They're all dogs.
They're all dogs.
It's
Sykes' dog.
Bill Sykes' dog is Bullseye. I'm going to go mad and suggest that the third dog, whom I've never heard of, is also a dog from the works of Charles Dickens.
Yes.
There you are. I'm laying it on the table.
Yes.
Well, I shall lay back on yours the sum of 2.5 marks if you can tell me the name of the novel in which Diogenes appears.
Bleak House.
Greek House.
You've... Okay, 2.5 marks. It's not actually Greek House. It was Dombey and Son, but Greek House deserves a little extra reward. 2.5 marks. Well done. Antonia. What do the following have in common? Kubla Khan, The Mystery of Edwin Drood, and Hornblower and the Crisis.
Oh, I'm so pleased to be able to tell you that unlike your books, my books and a few other books, they were never finished.
I got an unfinished one. I don't know about you.
Well, I've got an unfinished one at the present time, but we expect to remedy that situation. Whereas the late C.S. Forester, I'm hoping for more marks on this, the late Dickens and the late Coleridge have had their chance and they've missed it.
I awfully have a horrible feeling that they meant to finish them too when they started. They didn't say this is going to be my great unfinished work. I don't think. No, you're perfectly right. They're all unfinished works of literature by, as you rightly said, C.S. Forester, Hornblower and the Crisis, Charles Dickens, The Mystery of Edwin Drood, and I don't think you did say, but you know perfectly well that the author of Kubla Khan was
Samuel Taylor
Coleridge. Perfectly right. 2 magnificent marks. Dilys. What have the following in common? Pesh Melba, a Loganberry, and a Trilby hat.
They're all named after. Oh no, they're invented by people. Pesh Melba was named after Melba.
It was?
A Loganberry was named after somebody called Logan.
Yes. Any idea who?
Scottish comic. It's a version of the Scottish raspberry.
And what was the third?
What was the other
What was
one?
the third one?
The third one was a trilby hat.
Trilby
George
hat
Hat.
was named after Trilby, character in the Du Maurier novel.
Character in a novel by...
Du Maurier.
Du Maurier, perfectly right.
Maurier.
Dame Nellie Melba, judge, an American judge who invented the Loganberry, Judge Logan, and Trilby O'Farrell by George Du Maurier. 2 marks, well done. Denis. Denis. Algol, Cobol, and Fortran.
Oh, no, wait, I know Fortran, I think. Fortran is a way in which you chat up computers. You have to put it all in a special language. And the tran means translation, but I don't know what the for is short for. So I take it that COBOL is another way in which you can communicate with or tell a computer what to do. Algol, which would make a marvellous patent medicine, actually.
Made of seaweed.
Yeah.
They'd all make marvellous patent medicines, but in fact, you're perfectly right. All of them are actually so-called languages used in computer technology. They're in fact short for, Algol is short for algorithmic language. You all know what algorithmic language is. Common business-orientated language is COBOL. And Fortran actually is formula translation.
Fortran.
Well done, 2 marks. A round now of hyphenated adjectives. Can you please give me the line or the phrase of poetry that contains the following double-barreled adjective? Frank, dragon green.
At last, a question I can answer exactly. No. It's a lovely phrase, isn't it? I know it's to do with the sea, but
Yes, it is.
It's a dragon green sea. It's wonderful, isn't it? But who wrote it, and in which work? I just do not know, or even less.
The odd thing about it is it actually comes in quite a famous poem, which is about a place which isn't on the sea. But I assume, nonetheless, that he is talking about the Mediterranean. It comes from The Gates of Damascus by James Elroy Fleck. And the full quotation is, the dragon green, the luminous, the dark, the serpent-haunted sea. Alas, no marks. Sorry. Antonia. Another green one. Green-robed this time.
Green-robed. I feel it must be trees in spring. I mean, I wonder if it's a very famous poem.
It is actually, rather. As when upon a tranced summer night those green-robed senators of mighty woods, tall oaks, branch charmed by the earnest stars.
Yes, it's branched. It's Keats, isn't it?
It's Keats, yes.
Yes, and it's about Saturn. It's the Hyperion, is it?
Hyperion is right. Well done. Dilys. Ever rolling.
A hymn, ever-rolling stream, bears all its sons away.
It does indeed. Can you finish it off?
Time
What
like
They fly forgotten as a dream dies at the opening day.
They fly forgotten as a dream dies at the opening day. Indeed they do. Well done. It comes, as you know, from Oh God, Our Help in Ages Past. An extra half-mark bonus if you can tell me who wrote it.
Isaac Watts.
Isaac Watts is right. 2.5 marks.
That was a good guess. He wrote about 9/10 of them.
Denis, well conducted.
well conducted.
You may actually get it after the first word. Charlotte.
Yes. Charlotte, yes. Go on. Just go on a minute.
Charlotte, having seen his body.
Born before her on a shutter, Like a well-conducted something went on cutting bread and butter.
Well done. Actually, it was only a well-conducted person.
Person, yes.
Who wrote it?
Well, it sounds like Belloc.
Was it Harry Graham?
Or it could be Harry Graham.
Go back a bit further.
Oh.
Thackeray.
Thackeray is right.
Well
Thackeray
is
very
right.
much, Frank. Yes.
Well done. Well done. The Sorrows of Werther was the name of the poem. But I can't withhold from you 2 marks, nor would I wish to. A round now of unfavourable reviews. I'm going to enjoy this one. Can you hazard a guess at what it was that provoked the following criticism? This one is by a Chicago newspaper. We did not conceive it possible that even he would produce an address so slipshod, so loose-joined, so puerile.
Gettysburg Address.
Well done.
That's very good.
I give you an extra bonus mark if you know how that review actually ended. There's a lovely pithy last sentence.
No, I can't remember.
By the side of it, mediocrity is superb. 2 marks.
Journalism was far more libellous.
Oh, they could say anything.
And vigorous in the mid-19th century, particularly in America.
Antonia. Samuel Johnson said, "It's one of the books which the reader admires and lays down and forgets to take up again. Its perusal is a duty rather than a pleasure."
Books. I wonder if it's a novel. What is it, sort of Paradise Lost or something?
Paradise Lost is right. Say no more. Say no more. We've got it. 2 marks. Dilys. Mr. Samuel Pepys. To the King's Theatre, where we saw a play which I had never seen before, nor shall ever again, for it is the most insipid, ridiculous play that ever I saw in my life.
Was he seeing Shakespeare?
It is Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. Now, one of the lesser Shakespeares. Not one of the... No?
Well, I wouldn't have said so myself.
Try Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes. Romeo and Juliet.
Ah, you should have listened to your partner. Try Midsummer Night's Dream, he said. Had you but tried Midsummer Night's Dream, I should have given you 2 marks. As it is, I shall give you 1.5 marks, because you did get Shakespeare. He ends up the same thing. I saw, I must confess, some good dancing and some handsome women, which was all my pleasure. Denis. Miss Virginia Woolf wrote, "It is the work of a queasy undergraduate scratching his pimples." A peculiarly nasty image.
Well, she did have rather tender susceptibilities. It could have been any kind of vigorous novel. Yes, Antonia thinks it's Decline and Fall.
No.
Anything which mentions bodily functions, I would think.
Well, this one did that, all right.
All right, did it?
Not bad. Yeah.
Is it?
It's a bigger book.
Ulysses.
Ulysses is right, yes. Well done.
Sorry, that's it.
James Joyce's Ulysses. Well done. There was a momentary hesitation, but still, I think you got it. I'll give you 2 marks. And now we come to the last round and Frank and Denis's quotations. Frank, your quotation, so frequently voiced by the Oracle of Delphi, was "Leave no stone unturned."
I want to talk to you of my lecture tonight for the next 45 minutes, give or take a second, and questions. It's to do with sunbathing. Now, people will say to you, I'm going for my holidays to Marbella, and I'm going to come home as brown as a berry, which is very indicative, because name me a berry. Strawberry? Raspberry? Loganberry? What they mean is that I'll come home red. Because sunbathing means going red. Now, I take my holidays in Corsica, and the Mediterranean sun is very fierce. And the thing is that it affects certain places. The nose, first of all. The nose goes 10 minutes after arriving. Now, this is extraordinary. you lie supine, facing the sun, which is 93 million miles away. Now, your cheeks are 93 million miles away. The tip of your nose is 92,999,999 miles, 1,759 yards, 2 feet 11 inches away. After a quarter of an hour, the cheeks white, the nose blazing red. So the answer to the nose is to protect it at all times from the sun. The way to do this is, before leaving for your holiday, go to a joke shop, get a Groucho Marx joke nose, which latches onto the ears with plastic spectacles and a moustache. Ladies optionally may trim off the moustache. Wear that at all times in the sun. Now, I have several dangerous places which go red. They're the shoulder blades, behind the knees, the kneecaps and the thighs, and the tops of the feet. There's a thing called a brassiere. If you pin behind your knees, and it's one with a bit of elastic between the things, enables you to walk just, but you can't walk. The tops of the feet protect by getting a pair of gum boots and cutting off the tops, and they will cover. And the tops of the body, the face and the shoulders. I found I wear the hat my wife was married in, which is an old pink straw hat with a huge sort of top, and I found I could put an aerosol of hair oil in that. So there you have my simple rules for getting tanned evenly. And if you obey those rules, then you won't go red, and your whole body will emerge in one smooth tone, that of a well-cooked chip. So just remember those steps I told you, but remember most of all the golden rule, the words of the Oracle of Delphi. Leave nose tone untanned.
Denis, tell us about my sweet little Alice blue gown.
Do you have the same nightmare thoughts that I always get when I'm about to give a party? Suppose, after all the guests have arrived and mixed and chatted and had drinks and eaten, suppose they all go home about 9:20. Well, last week I actually had that happen. Now, how it all started, you see, was that when we decided it was about time that we gave a party, I rang up one of those party planning agencies and asked them to send over a trained and qualified lady to give us a hand in serving and preparing the meal. So sure enough, about 4:30 on the day of the party, the front doorbell rang, and when I opened it, there stood a very short, very squat girl with dragon green hair, and she said, "Hi, sport. I'm Alice." So is this where they're having the rave up? Now, I know it's unfair to judge people by appearances, but firstly, this one couldn't have measured more than 5'6" with her umbrella up. Secondly, she wore a visible suspender belt adorned with a flick knife. And thirdly, she had a tattoo on her forearm which read, "Property of the Mill Hill and District Hells Angels." So I actually wasn't all that surprised when about an hour after Alice had been set to work, my wife hurtled out of the kitchen and collapsed in a chair, ashen. "That girl," she said, "that girl, not only has she broken 4 of the best dinner plates, she's sprinkled dishwasher powder instead of rock salt into the avocado dip. And every time I remonstrate with her, she pins me up against the wall with a kebab skewer." I said, "Leave this to me," and I strode into the kitchen because I am fearless where girls who only come up to my waistband are concerned. All right, Alice, I said, out. She looked at me in a way I can only describe as malevolent. You'll be sorry, she said. Out, I said. Not till I've put another face on, she said, with which she disappeared upstairs to the bathroom and some 10 minutes later came down again with no apparent alteration to her complexion but a very distinct smirk on her face. However, what with my guests being due at 7, I had enough to worry about, making good all the damage that she'd done and putting in hand alternative arrangements. Well, I had no luck repairing the dinner plates because our super glue had gone missing, but the alternative arrangements were easy, working on the principle that no party guests ever notice a shortfall in the catering, providing you can get them paralytic within 10 minutes of the arrival. I prepared a drink calculated to dull even the keenest of critical faculties by blending 3 parts lemonade with 14 parts vodka, 28 parts scotch and 55 parts cheap Spanish brandy. I finished up with a fruit punch that measured 6.4 on the Richter scale. What's more, it did the trick. By 7:30, there I was, circulating among a crowd of happy, laughing guests, all knocking back the punch and beaming at me. In fact, the first clue that anything was amiss didn't come till about an hour later. One of my closest friends sidled up to me and said, look, I'm sorry, but I've got to be leaving, I'm afraid. I looked at the clock. But it's only 10 to 9, I said. He looked a bit embarrassed. He said, well, I have to run the babysitter home. Do you know he'd been gone 10 minutes before I remembered his sons were now 27 and 29? But by that time, another 30 people had gone, and by 9:15, my wife and I found ourselves alone in the house. Well, obviously, it had to be something that Alice had done. But what? And while I was pondering the mystery, I became uncomfortably aware that my duties as a host had up to now denied me the opportunity to, as my mother used to say, pay a visit. Well, we've only got one loo in our house, so I made my way up there, and it was at that moment when I found myself unsuccessfully struggling to lift the lid. 2 mysteries were solved simultaneously. First, what the missing super glue had been used for, and secondly, why the diminutive Alice had left with a smirk on her face. Because this permanently bonded toilet furnishing now contained the echo of an old song. The seat, little Alice, glued down.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a glance at my score sheet shows that by the minimal margin of half a mark, Antonia and Denis have emerged the winners. And so it's goodbye from us all, from Dilys Powell, from Antonia Fraser, from Frank Muir, and from Denis Norden. Thank you very much.
In My Word, the chairman was John Julius Norwich. The questions were compiled by Peter Moore, and the programme was produced by Denis Norden.
You've been listening to My Word from the BBC.
We present My Word. A panel game devised by Denis Norden and Edward J. Mason. And here to introduce the teams is John Julius Norwich.
Thank you. Our teams for this week are Dilys, Powell, Antonia, Fraser, Frank Muir and Denis Norden. First, a round of incomplete proverbs. Can you deduce or infer or guess the sense of the phrase that completes the following little-known proverb?
Butter's no parsnips.
-1. Frank. A dog's nose and a maid's knee are...
What? A dog's nose and a maid's knee are not supposed to run.
3 plus marks. You're wrong, but 3 plus marks nonetheless, because that's the way it ought to be. It's a very much better answer than the correct one.
Is it our soon parted?
1 extra mark from Mr. Norden.
Dog's nose?
How you part a dog's nose, I'm not entirely clear. No, but in fact, although I've given you marks, richly deserved in both cases, you have neither of you got the right answer. Does anybody actually know the right answer? There is actually a proverb.
Is it English? Is it an English proverb?
It is, yes.
Cold. Well,
A proverb, I may as well tell you, according to which a dog's nose and a maid's knee are always cold.
Why is a maid's knee cold? Is it a maid in the sense of a domestic servant or an unmarried lady?
That's a very interesting question.
And you don't know the answer.
Otherwise, is it true of au pair girls?
Antonia, could you tell me what the conclusion is of the following proverb? The mother-in-law remembereth not that...
Daughter's a daughter all your life, but with any luck you can get rid of a daughter-in-law.
Not quite. Anybody?
Very good.
There's a certain amount of sense in this one, it has to be said, much more than there was in the first one.
A mother-in-law
Is what?
never remembers.
Remembereth not that...
That she was once...
A daughter-in-law.
Exactly.
That she was once a daughter-in-law. You were going to say it.
Of course I was.
I think we better give her 2 marks, don't you? Dilys. The first year, let your house to your enemy. The second to your friend. The third...
Well, it depends if it lets the damp in or not. If it doesn't, I should suggest you live in it yourself.
Perfectly right, 2 marks.
Does it?
Denis, a runaway monk never...
Runs deep. A runaway monk never... What is a runaway monk?
A runaway monk came down the track and he...
Yeah. I'm going to let Antonia say that.
No, what Denis whispered in my ear was...
I thought...
A runaway monk never has clean habits.
How can I withhold 2 marks? The trouble about the answers that the teams are giving is they're so much better. I'm almost ashamed of telling you the original one. It's so boring. A runaway monk never praises his own convent. Well, it may or may not be true. Convents, of course, in the old days did mean monasteries as well as convents. You do realise that. Well, anyway, you all got quite a lot of marks, which you richly deserve. Now, before we go into round 2, Frank and Denis, here are the quotations that you've been given for the last round. Frank, yours is, I suspect, probably one of the shortest ones you've ever been given. It is simply, Noel. And yours, Denis, is, Mary had a little lamb. Now for a round of composite words. What single, unhyphenated word results from joining together 2 other words which individually can be defined as follows? Frank. A lady with a serpentine hairdo and an articulate friend of Captain Dreyfus.
Well, a lady with a serpentine hairdo is common, and a friend of Captain Dreyfus, which I happen to know, is named Bert. So it's common Bert. Or when translated into English, into French, camembert. Because what you're hoping I'll say is Gorgon and Zola, isn't it?
All right, take 2 marks.
Willingly, sir. Happily.
Antonia. Progressively bareheaded and the letter T in Morse code.
Rubbish. I mean, what sort of question is...
How close you are?
I know,
to be sitting next to a former wireless operator.
I will allow him to tap it out.
No,
Bald.
it could just sink through the earth. You see, we didn't... It was dash.
I think you know the answer to this question.
I think, is it balderdash?
Balderdash is exactly what it is. I can't actually give you any marks, but you can have 4. Dilys. Polysaturated dairy produce and proverbially found in ointment.
Butterfly.
Butterfly. Butterfly is perfectly right. Two marks for butterfly. Denis. A sheepish male and part of a cable.
Sheepish male. Would that be ram?
It would.
Is there a part of a cable called a bunctious? I mean, how are you on cables? I mean, really, are you really into cables?
Good Powell.
Ram. What? Shackle. Ramshackle.
Ramshackle is right. Ramshackle is right. Took you a little time. Have 3 marks. Now for a round of origins and derivations. What was the origin, I should like to know, what was the origin of the following word or phrase, or from what did it derive? Frank. A skeleton at the feast.
It means the presence of something in a period of happiness or pleasure to remind you that life has a more serious side. In the midst of life, there's death. And it's very, 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 very old. Beyond that, I can't help enormously.
It originated, as far as we know, as a macabre custom of the ancient Egyptians who at ceremonial banquets displayed a skeleton as a reminder, as Frank was telling you, to revelling diners that they were not immortal. Antonia. All my eye and Betty Martin.
I can see Frank knows it, but I think I should just get a mark for having to look at Frank knowing it, just putting me off.
Yes, it's painful, isn't it? It's a corruption of a Latin phrase that's used for devotional purposes.
That's what the quizmaster's sheet says, but in fact it isn't.
I think the quizmaster's sheet is absolutely right, and so is Denis. Thank you. According to the quizmaster's sheet, it's said to be a British sailor's garbled version of words heard in an Italian church. Ah, mihi beate Martini, meaning, ah, grant me blessed St. Martin. Dilys. Paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia. It's something to do with a woman's something rather.
Yes?
Not her husband's belongings, but her belongings.
Her belongings. You're perfectly right.
Her belongings, over which her husband has absolutely no right at all.
It's actually a legal term for the bride's personal effects, specifically excluded from the dowry that she brought to the groom.
Well,
that's what she has, as it were, on the side.
Absolutely right.
Well done.
There's another word for that.
The Greeks had it.
Denis. To win, hands down.
Well, hands down is obviously the alias of the well-known German highwayman, Hands Up. Is it come from boxing, or is it come from a sport?
It comes from a sport, but not boxing. The word, or the phrase rather, originated in horse racing circles to describe a jockey, so far ahead of the rest of the field that he could afford to drop his hands and allow the beast to finish the race without further urging. Now for a round of poetical pairings. Can you quote the lines of poetry that include the following graphic association of two words? Frank. Cool kindliness.
No is the answer to that question.
Would you like a hint?
Yes.
Yes.
It is contrasted in this poem, the cool kindliness, with a rough male kiss.
The blanket.
Got it?
No, but
It's
the cool kindness of the sheets and
Yes.
the rough male kiss of the blanket. Now,
Yes.
Where's that from? Come
That's what
on.
I'm asking you.
It must be
Dilys.
Rupert Brooke. It must be Rupert Brooke. No, not Rupert Brooke.
Rupert Brooke is perfectly right.
Rupert Brooke.
Rupert Brooke, the great lover. Then the cool kindliness of sheets that soon smooth away trouble, and the rough male kiss of blankets. That's it. Antonia. Twilight Saints.
Is it from The Eve of St. Agnes? Is it Keats?
You're just too clever. The Eve of St. Agnes by John Keats. Can you actually quote the lines concerned?
Oh, I don't think that's necessary.
Not necessary, but it's desirable.
You do it.
All right.
It's something sort of stained Richard glass and, you know.
Oh, so nearly. So nearly. You're almost improving on the original.
As I said before, you do it.
And in the midst, mid thousand heraldries and twilight saints and dim emblazonings, a shielded scutcheon blushed with blood of queens and kings. Well done. Keats, The Eve of St. Agnes. I think we better give her 2 marks, don't you? Dilys, The Unforgiving Minute.
Kipling. It's that thing about if you could fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. Is that
Yours
right?
says, all that says,
Is that
you're a
enough?
better man than I am, Gunga Din.
You'll be a man, my son.
Splendid. Kipling is right, if. A friend of mine has a little escutcheon over his desk reading, "If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, could it be that you have incorrectly appraised the situation?" Denis, petty pace.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps on this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death, out, brief candle, and so on. From the play.
A last quick round of names beginning with the letter Z. Frank, who did, and I quote, her cold coffee, trifle with her spoon, count the slow clock, and dine exact at noon? I knew you'd know.
It was, it was Pope, wasn't it? A letter to Miss Blount.
Yes.
But
it
the
was
lady
Pope it was.
It's one of those lovely names that Pope was so good at. Zelnuelda or something.
The name of the lady was Zephylinda. Antonia, who, if on a desert island, would, quote, have spent most of her time looking for a man's footprint.
Who wouldn't?
Beginning with Z.
Oh, sorry, I see. I thought it was a personal question.
Incomparable marks.
I suppose you're not going to give me any marks for that.
No, I'm not going to give you any marks for that. But I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that you're now going to tell me who, in fact, was...
Zuleika.
Yes, of course. Zuleika...
Dobson.
Dobson, by...
Max Beerbohm.
Max Beerbohm. Well done. Dilys.
Zoe. For a bonus mark.
Dilys.
Ooh.
Being the son of Kronos and Rhea, was saved by his mother from being eaten by his father. That narrows the field, you'll agree.
Zeus.
Zeus is right, yes. Zeus, the king of the gods, 2 marks. Denis. Which French author who has quite...
Yes. Yes. I have that feeling of confidence, yes.
His wife was named
Name
Gorgon.
3 French authors beginning with Z.
Yes.
I will perhaps slightly revamp the question. How would you put this question if the answer were Émile Zola?
I would say that the Gorgon was a lady who went around saying, I washed my snakes this morning and now I can't do a thing with them.
And now we come to the last round and Frank and Denis's quotations. Frank, your quotation is, as you know, Noel.
I've been spending a lot of time on finding out where this word Noel came from. It clearly is not a modern word. And we have to go back to about 1570 with Henschel's company of actors, including William Shakespeare. And they are playing Romeo and Juliet for the first time before Queen Elizabeth. And Shakespeare doesn't turn up for that performance. And it's a terribly interesting performance because it was when Allen first went on, and had Shakespeare not turned up, he was going to a second-hand bed shop to get a bed for his wife. So he missed the performance. But had he not turned up, Allen wouldn't have gone on, wouldn't have made a fortune. There would have been no Dulwich College, and P.G. Wodehouse would be an illiterate. All that's fine. And when Henslow said to Allen, you'll have to go on, Shakespeare isn't here, he said, well, why Mr. Gunnar? I don't know the part. And he said, well, fake it. Just go on. Why? And he said, no will. No will. Now, you see, that's near. But it's not the actual word. So it cannot be for us phlogists who study language. It's not good enough. But in 1381, there was a revolt in Smithfield of the peasants, led by a very badly dressed chap. People looked at him and said, God, bloody hell. What tailor did you get that suit from, mate? So he was known as Wat Tyler. And they got all their meat, all parked into wherever they parked meat in Smithfield. And it was 8:30, and they went to the pub for a drink, and there was no beer. So they revolted. And King Richard II was riding through, and they said, Richard II, down with the government. And he said, what seems to be the trouble, chaps? And they said, no ale. No, we're getting nearer. We are getting nearer, but we're not there yet. Now, I had a bit of a turn-up, as we students of language do from time to time, in that I got a book out of the public library. I was very interested in unusual arches, just in case we've got a question on this programme. I know a Norman arch, I know a Gothic arch, but I saw a book there about a Platt arch. And I brought it home and found that, in fact, it wasn't a book about a Platt arch. It was a book by a chap called Plutarch, who was an historian. And he revealed the fact that around about 50 A.D., there was a Roman called Ben-Hur. His actual name was Ben, but apparently the vicar had splashed font water over his glasses and breathed on them and said, "I name this child Ben-Hur." And the young Ben-Hur grew up determined to be a champion chariot racer. And his father bought him a second-hand chariot with a male horse, which is much faster, what they called a he-type. And he had his he-type chariot. And he was learning to drive it. And he got his license on Christmas Eve. Not many people know this. He got his license on Christmas Eve. And on Christmas Day, he roared into the square at full speed in his he-type chariot. And all the villagers gathered round, and he said, look at the rear of my chariot. What a thing to celebrate at Christmas." And they said, "Celebrate what?" And he said, "Noel, Noel, Noel."
Denis, beat that with Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Well, time now for the results of last week's competition. If you remember, we offered prizes to the value of nearly 78p for the best suggestion from a listener on how to cut down electricity consumption this winter, because, as you know, what with electric lights and radiators and TV sets and fridges and yoghurt makers and washing machines and record players, your suburban housewife now uses up more electricity than Baron Frankenstein needed to animate his monster. So obviously what we must all learn is to cut down. And although our government is playing its part, only this week, for instance, it put out the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm sure your tips are going to prove just as helpful, even if some of them were not immediately comprehensible to someone who, like me, is a bit of an old ninny in matters electrical. I can never even hang up the lights on my Christmas tree without invariably winding up with the plug at the top. That's why that suggestion, one of the suggestions I had, the one that came from a lady in Leamington, "Why don't we all remove our shorts?" That had me really foxed till I realised she meant get our electric wiring checked. Now, good thinking, Leamington. But what we were really after were slightly more ingenious tips, even if some of those proved to be somewhat less than practical. I have in mind the Manchester listener who proposed that people with electric toothbrushes should brush only alternate teeth. or the Bournemouth gentleman who advocated that if you have an electric clock, you should only switch it on when you want to know the time. I must also confess to finding a few of your recommendations a little on the sour side, as, for example, the lady from Leicester who submitted that electricity showrooms should now offer free gifts with every appliance you don't buy. And on an even more jaundiced note, the three gentlemen from the northeast of England who claimed we'd save quite a few watts if the Secretary for Industry agreed to turn his halo off. But coming now, on a more agreeable note, to the prize winners. The runner-up was Mrs. Marlowe of Harlow, who came up with the suggestion that the ideal way to heat your living room economically this winter would be to burn all those energy-saving pamphlets they sent us last winter, which were all typed on an electric typewriter, you may remember. But the winner was someone who really put his thinking cap on, Professor Murray of Surrey. Instead of concentrating on economizing, he set out to find an alternative means of producing electricity. And in a bold experiment, he proved it was possible to light a small room by the use of an electric eel. All he did was wire one up to a 25-watt bulb, and by irritating it at regular intervals, he generated enough amps from it to keep a swan-necked reading lamp alight for nearly 6 hours. What is more, as proof of his achievement, Professor Murray enclosed the headline in the scientific journal which reported the event, "Murray had eel lighter lamp."
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I see from the score sheet that Antonia and Denis are the winners in this week's contest. And so now it's goodbye from Dilys Powell, Antonia Fraser, Frank Muir, and Denis Norden.
In My Word, the chairman was John Julius Norwich. The questions were compiled by Peter Moore, and the programme was produced by Denis Norden. We present My Word. A panel game devised by Denis Norden and Edward J. Mason. And here to introduce the teams is John Julius Norwich.
Thank you very much. Our teams for this week are Dilys Powell, Antonia Fraser, Frank Muir, and Denis Norden. So off we go into a round of personal announcements, some self-revealing comments made by 20th century people. What I want to know is whether you can identify the speaker or the writer who said or who wrote the following. Frank, who said, "I am going to introduce sex into Romeo and Juliet"?
Well, presumably originally Shakespeare, because it's full of it.
20th century people.
I am going to introduce...
Dilys?
No, it wasn't Dilys. No.
I tried.
Might I barter half a mark for a clue?
The particular Romeo and Juliet he had in mind might conceivably have been choreographic.
Ballet.
Possibly ballet.
Ah, yes. Well, then it was Frederick Ashton, quite clearly.
Actually, it was Sir Robert Helpman.
Oh, well.
It was clearly one or the other, but you got it wrong. It was Sir Robert Helpman, who also, you remember, made that marvellous remark about nude dancing. He said he was against it because he said when the music stops, everything else doesn't. So, Sir Robert Helpman it was. No marks, Frank, dear. So sorry. Better luck next time. Antonia. "Four be the things I'd be better without: love, curiosity, freckles, and doubt."
Freckles. Yes. Dorothy Parker?
Dorothy Parker is right. 2 glorious and well-deserved marks.
It's superb, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
The juxtaposition of freckles and doubt.
The 3 line is, 3 be the things I shall never attain: envy, content, and sufficient champagne. 3 be the things I shall have till I die: laughter and hope and a sock in the eye.
And also my favourite quatrain of all. Remember, "Oh, life is a glorious pageant of song, a medley of extemporanea, and love is a thing that can never go wrong, and I'm Queen Marie of Romania." Dilys, who said, "I'm as pure as the driven slush"?
It's only women who say they're pure. So it's
on the whole.
On the whole. It's an actress.
It is.
And I think it's Tallulah Bankhead.
It is. Well done. 2 marks. Denis, somebody in the 1930s said, I have a feeling that for the next month or so, Herr Hitler is going to take things a little easier and smell the flowers and listen to the nightingales.
Fascinating. The next month or so I would presume from that he was writing in a thing that had a date on it, so it's likely to be a newspaper or a magazine or something like that. So I would guess somebody like the 30s, Godfrey Wynne or James Agate.
So near, you're wrong.
They're very similar.
You're getting awfully warm.
They're very similar.
Beverly
Nichols is it?
That's Beverly
yes?
Nichols,
right.
it is.
Very,
Beverly Nichols it is. I had to give you a little bit of a hint. Yes. I'll give you 1 mark. Now, before we go into round 2, Frank and Denis, here are the quotations that you've been given for the last round. Frank, somewhere over the rainbow. And Denis, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Now, a quick round of words ending in O-U-G-H. Always fun, words ending in O-U-G-H. What word ending O-U-G-H, Frank, can be defined as something complete and unqualified?
Oh, I was working up to tough. But,
well, you must work down again rapidly.
Thorough.
Thorough is right. Well done. 2 marks. Antonia. A red-legged crow.
A huff, isn't it?
It's not a huff.
Oh, a chuff, I meant.
A chuff it is.
Yes.
It is a chuff.
I just left off the C. I was nervous.
Not a chuff. Well, that's tough. But anyway, you can get 1.5. 1.5. Dilys. A GI's vacation.
Scarborough.
Whoa. Furlough.
Stop whispering. Furlough is right. Furlough, 2 marks. Denis, an audible tussication.
It could be cough.
Cough is right. Well done. 2 marks. Now, some dyspeptic diagnoses of Thomas Carlyle. Thomas Carlyle, Victorian critic, you remember, whose chronic indigestion sometimes prompted him to give rather acidulated views of his contemporaries. What I want to know now is, to which contemporary was he referring when he made the following observations? Frank. How long will John Bull allow this absurd monkey to dance on his chest?
Disraeli.
Right. 2 marks. No more need to say. Well done. Antonia. The languid way in which he gives you a handful of numb, unresponsive fingers is very significant.
Carlyle. I was going to say Oscar Wilde, but that's too late, isn't it? Languid fingers.
Poet. Was he talking about a poet or was he talking about a literary figure?
Yes, it's a poet.
A poet, Tennyson. He must have had a decent handshake.
No, but there's a rather obvious poet you might think of who quite obviously didn't have a decent handshake.
Damp, it would be. Because of where he lived.
Wordsworth.
Wordsworth is right.
Oh,
with a little help from the competition. I give you 1 mark.
Well, that's frightfully decent of you and
Dilys.
very nice.
He always was and is a kind of ghastly object, colourless, pallid, tuneless, without health or warmth or vigour. The sound of him shrieky, frosty, as if a ghost were trying to sing to us.
Is he a musician?
No.
Not a musician, no.
It's a poet, actually, again.
A poet.
But a different one.
Not the same one.
Rather better one, actually.
Try Shelley.
Try Shelley? You're trying Shelley?
I'll try Shelley.
You're perfectly right to try Shelley. Shelley it was. Well done. 2 marks. Denis. A weak, diffusive, ineffectual man. Never did I see such apparatus got ready for thinking, and so little thought.
You know the dreadful part about this? I know that all these, or at least I've got a very good idea, that all these quotations are drawn from one scholarly work of reference. And if I don't get it right, any question from that work of reference, I always have to write it out afterwards 20 times, because the book is called the Frank Muir book. I believe I'm right in all these. It's Frank Muir, yeah. I don't know who this one is. I mean, one can guess around his contemporaries. If one contemporary would only come into one's head, one could riffle through. Browning. Who else was around? Was this another poet?
It was yet another poet, actually. Yes,
was it? Keats, Shelley.
No.
No. I don't know. All poets
much more in the Wordsworth family than in the Keats and Shelley.
Coleridge.
Coleridge is right.
Right.
Well, 1 mark. 2 hints, but 1 mark. Now, who art thou? Can you identify the thou? Who or which is referred to in the following lines of poetry? Frank. So fold thyself, my dearest thou, and slip into my bosom and be lost in me.
This is the princess. Yeah.
So fold thyself. It's a foldable thou.
Well, we don't actually. We're not told whether she succeeded.
You can buy inflatable ones now.
It's not. No,
you know who wrote it?
No. Tennyson. I got on my right here.
Tennyson wrote it. I'll give you 1 mark for Tennyson. I'll give you a mark for Tennyson.
Thou folding in the bosom.
His wife?
Well, no, chaps always said bosom.
Did they?
Some supplicant.
I don't think you're going to get it. I don't think I'm sure.
Royalty. A royal. The princess.
I was wrong. You got it. The princess is right. Again, with a little help from your friends.
Oh, I wouldn't say
that. It's 15 all, health-wise, now, so I think we can leave it at that. Antonia. 2 marks. Well done, Frank. Antonia. But oh, the heavy change, now thou art gone, and never must return.
In memoriam? No, we can't have a corner in Tennyson.
No, not in memoriam. Got to go back a bit.
They had very heavy change in medieval times because the coins were struck from real copper.
Oh, wait a moment. It's Milton and it's Lycidas.
It's Milton and it's Lycidas?
Yes.
2 marks. 2 marks. Well done. Do you know who the actual person was whom he was bewailing? I'll give you another mark if you do. I'll tell you, it was Edward King, who was drowned in the Irish Sea. Dilys. Though babbling only to the vale of sunshine and of flowers...
I'm so sorry. I didn't know Edward King had been taken from us. I am sorry.
Well, that's not to say.
Sorry,
it was quite recent. It was only about 1640.
But nobody told me.
It never made the Times, that's why. Dilys. Though babbling only to the vale of sunshine and of flowers, thou bringest unto me a tale of visionary hours. A dreadful verse, if I may say so.
Something I wouldn't want to know, I'm sure.
It was by someone who is accounted rather a good poet.
Accounted rather.
Whose name has already been mentioned in the course of this program.
Tennyson.
Everybody's name.
No.
Not
Shelley.
Tennyson. Shelley.
No. It's William Wordsworth in a deplorable poem called The Cuckoo.
Oh, well.
Times.
Dennis. Thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks, and death's pale flag is not
unfurled, unfolded there.
Actually advancing.
Advancing there, yes. It's Romeo's last speech before he takes the poison in the tomb.
Right, well done, very good. Romeo and Juliet. Quick round of assorted aliases, pseudonyms, and nom de plume. By what name or nickname are or were the following literary characters better known? Frank. Don Vito Corleone.
Respect. You gotta have respect, Frank.
On the waterfront.
Respect. No. Yeah, well, near. Well done. Dilys will.
No, I'll give you...
Is it the pissoir in Clochemel?
Not even. It's not even the pissoir.
Because it's foreign. It's Don something. It's Spanish.
No, it's not even. It's Italian, it's Sicilian, it's New York, it's The Godfather, it's Mario Puzo. Full marks for effort, but no marks for score. Antonia.
Funny question.
Lucille Aurore Dupin. She was also...
Not a breadwinner, a bread hater.
She was also, actually, if this helps, Baronne Dudevant. But far better known...
A whisper along the breezes of literature, said Georges Sand.
That whisper didn't fail you. Georges Sand, indeed it was. Well done. 2 marks. Dilys, who was that popular peer, Lord Greystoke?
Book or play?
Book. And film.
A film character.
A film character is right, yes.
I think it was Tarzan of the Apes.
Tarzan of the Apes it was. Well done. Yes. 2 marks. Denis, who was Lord Fancourt Beverley?
Charlie's aunt.
Charlie's aunt is right.
Yes.
2 marks. 2 marks. And so we come to the last round and to Frank and Denis's quotations. Frank, your quotation, you remember, was somewhere over the rainbow.
Ah, yes. Now, I've been taking so long over my stories that Tony Shryan, our producer, has asked me to make it very, very short. So I'm not going to do a story tonight. I'm just going to give you... Lots of people write in, and ask questions, and they're very nice letters in the main, or whatever the opposite to the main is. And some people write in and ask me where I buy my bow ties. So I thought I'd just, tonight, give you the address of where I buy my bow ties, and then we can all have an early night. And go to bed and read. Have you got a paper and pencil handy? Now, you know Beauchamp Place? Pronounced Beauchamp, spelt Beauchamp. Beauchamp. Well, you go up Beauchamp Place, then you and on the right, there's a wine bar. You know it? Yeah. It's extraordinary about wine bars that I always think that all they sell is wine. But they don't, as pubs now sell real beer, wine bars ought to sell sack. Elizabethan sack. But just above the... Have you got papers and pencil handy for the address? Well, just above the wine bar, there's a chap who makes bespoke shirt. That's a funny word, bespoke, isn't it? I always thought it's what happened to a bicycle wheel. But apparently it's when you order things or something. But there's a chap there who makes 2 stories up. In the old days, the ground floor used to be the pigs and the cattle. Or in medieval times, it was where you fed the servants and yourselves. And it was the first floor, which was the piano nobile, which is what it's called, the first floor. I always thought the piano nobile was a Joanna that Duke Ellington had played on, but apparently it means the big room. But this was no big room where my friend Sammy made shirts and ties. It was the second floor above the wine bar, and it was a very small room indeed. And his name was Weir, W-E-I-R, and he's a very jolly man. And he'd nicked a sign from the Thames Conservancy saying, take care, you don't go over the Weir. He was a very small man who cut out these shirts with, appeared to be made of pastry. He had a sort of dollop of pastry for his head, and a bigger dollop for his body. And there was no neck. One was just... His face was pastry-coloured. And he had one hair which grew from just behind his right ear, which he then trained round his ear, round the back of his neck, under the other ear, and then it zigzagged backwards and forwards. Right across. He took me down to the wine bar and saw me off one day, and after I'd ordered some pink ties, and the wind got behind it, and the whole thing straightened out. And there's about 9 feet of it. And he reeled it in, quite unashamed, like a hand fisherman on Brighton Pier after a long and unsuccessful cast. He got it all back in. And I first saw Sam's... He had on his window, it said bespoke shirts, cravats and ties, which is where I... Have you got a pen and pencil? I'll give you the address. His name... I saw it actually when I was buying a fireplace opposite. There's a shop that sells pine fireplaces, and I bought a sort of little grate there, which was Rococo, which I love. It was all sort of odds and ends. The best Rococo rooms are in Claydon's in Buckinghamshire. And I did a programme of them, and there's a marvellous man called Sir Harry Verney, who owned Claydon's, and I interviewed him, and he was 90 at the time. And he had spectacles on the top of his head, like a Vogue model of 6 years ago. And they were encrusted with sort of poached egg and wine leavings and house martins droppings. And if you ever looked through them, his wife, who unfortunately was dead, he told me about, was Lord Elgin's daughter. And Lord Elgin was Viceroy of India, and this little girl was his daughter, and she had to be the chatelaine, and she had to look after all these brilliant people who came out to dinner. So she was a wonderfully accomplished girl in conversation, but she had no education. So she said the most marvellous things, because she had no real knowledge of anything. And the family used to go around with a notebook. And when he got back from the House of Commons, he said, "Has my wife said anything this week?" And they said, "Yes, she said to a chap who'd cut his finger, 'Don't try and treat it yourself. Take it to the GPO.'" Anyway, you go up Beecham Place if you want ties made. And if you've got a pencil, you don't need a pencil and paper, because the address is in the first line of Judy Garland's most popular song. Sam Weir, Over the Wine Bar.
Denis, let's see how you get on with people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Well, personally, I blame the Russians. But my psychiatrist won't have it. He says I'm simply shifting my guilt onto the Russians because I don't want to admit that I suffer from this strange psychiatric aberration called literalism. Now, that could be something that most of you have never even heard of, because my psychiatrist says one of the reasons why literalism is so little known is because very few people know about it. So, let me explain what it is. A person with literalism suffers from a continuous and uncontrollable tendency to take words at their face value, to believe that words mean what they say. It's what you call a psychosemantic illness, actually. Now, how can I best illustrate how this odd quirk of the mind manifests itself? Well, look, suppose a literalism victim sees a commercial on television for something called a lemon rinse. The first thought that comes into his mind is, why should anyone want to rinse a lemon? You see, or take fireworks, for example. Now, a literalist can spend hours wondering why a firework bears those words, light blue touch paper. Because you see, to him, the touch paper is so obviously dark blue. Now, what's more, this mental disability can land you into some pretty embarrassing situations. Last time I went to my doctor, for example, his nurse said to me, before doctor examines you, would you please strip to the waist? Right, I said. And when she came back into the room, there I was, without any shoes, socks, underpants, or trousers. Well, talk about taking umbrage. All I asked you to do, she said, averting her eye, all I asked you to do was strip to the waist. I said, I am stripped to the waist. She said, I meant from the top downwards. Now, that may have been what she meant, but it wasn't what she said. And it was this same disastrous inability of mine to take words other than literally that made me pass up a real bargain recently in the sales. You see, because I'd torn a great rip in my blue blazer, I was very excited to hear that there's a shop in Oxford Street that was selling off a whole load of blue blazers at absolutely knockdown prices. But when I got there, what did I see? Hanging above the blazers, a large sign that said, all merchandise slashed. Doesn't it make you sick? I thought, because I've already got one like that. So, but if you think that symptom of my handicap proved expensive, let me go back to the episode I started to tell you about, the one that I still think the Russians should take the blame for. You see, what happened, you see, was I was attending a small dinner party at the Russian embassy, and at the end of it, there were all these toasts to our various countries, and after we'd drunk one to the betterment of Anglo-Soviet relationships, the ambassador put his hand up and said, ladies and gentlemen, in my country, after an important toast like that, it is the custom for everybody to throw their glasses into the fireplace. Well, it seemed a bit of an odd custom to me, but as is the way of people with literalism, I didn't hesitate. I simply stood up, took off my glasses, and threw them with all my force into the grate. Now, whatever my psychiatrist may claim, that was what the Russian told us to do. And if you have any idea what it cost to repair a pair of tortoiseshell spectacles that have shattered themselves against a great stone fireplace, then you must understand why I believe that somewhere in the reference books there must be an old Russian proverb. People in stone houses shouldn't throw glasses.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I see from the score sheet that Antonia and Denis are the winners in this week's contest. And so now it's goodbye from Dilys Powell, Antonia Fraser, Frank Muir and Denis Norden.
In My Word, the chairman was John Julius Norwich. The questions were compiled by Peter Moore, and the programme was produced by Denis Norden.
You've been listening to My Word from the BBC, heard each week at this time. This is